Hey guys, what's up? Shin0525 coming at ya with another video. And today's video I want to talk about backwards compatibility. But before I start, remember to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. That really does help me out and I would appreciate it. So anyway, I've been thinking a lot about backwards compatibility lately, mainly from the Switch 2 announcement and how the Switch 2 will be able to play your Switch games, which is great, awesome. But if you want them like upgraded, then you have to like pay a fee to upgrade them to play. And I'm a little bothered with that. That's going to be another video that I'm going to make later today. But I did makes me think about how important backwards compatibility is and like what it really means. And the best way I could sum it up is backwards compatibility, like from like a gamer standpoint and like a company standpoint, is it's a way to reward loyalty. Really, when you think about it. So the big thing is these major game companies, Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft, and pretty much any big one, they don't give a shit about loyalty. Like, Nintendo does not care that you've been playing their systems since the SNES. They don't care that you have that Nintendo 64 tattoo. They don't care that they made your childhood. They don't care that you're a loyal customer. Because if they really cared, backwards compatibility would be a front priority on these companies' minds. Whenever they made a new console, and if they really cared about it, they would make sure it is all the older games would be playable on it. I think this is really big with like PlayStation 2. Well, not the PlayStation 2, but PlayStation as well. Because the thing with Nintendo is like, I could see it being really expensive making a console that's completely backwards compatible with all other Nintendo systems. Mainly because you would have to have like a cartridge slot on there, you'd have to have a disc reader for the GameCube and Wii games, you'd have to have another cartridge slot for like Switch games, and it's just like you'd have to have like a whole bunch of slots for it to be like physically backwards compatible. So I could see why them not doing it is kind of a little bit more like realistic, but Sony on the other hand, all of their games have been on discs. So really all you need is some sort of disc reader that can read CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays. And then have an emulation program that can play PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PS3, PS4, PS5, and you're good. And that's the thing, is like they could, if it was a priority, they could make backwards compatibility a thing. And backwards compatibility is really great, especially for a new console, because making a new console like the Switch 2 backwards compatible is really important because it allows you to play more games on your new system. Because when you get a new system that isn't backwards compatible, you get like one game for it, and then it just becomes that like one game machine, really. But if you have backwards compatibility, you can play your older library on there, so you have access to more games to hold you over until actual big name games drop, like the newer games drop. So again, it's just like every console has just the way it is. It's just the launch titles are very limited, especially for the first year. Honestly, if I would recommend buying a console, buy it a year after it comes out. So then you'd actually have some games. A lot of like problems with these consoles will hopefully be kind of ironed out by then. And again, you would have newer games to play instead of just the launch title games. But going back to backwards compatibility is just like, again, it would be a great way to reward loyalty to a brand like PlayStation and like Nintendo. Because again, it's like someone like me, I have all my PlayStation 2 games. I have all my PlayStation 1 games. I have all my PS3, PS4. Again, if a console was completely backwards compatible with the physical games, that would be amazing. But we don't have that. But you have companies like Sony and Nintendo being like, well, it's okay because we'll make them backwards compatible through our subscription service. So you just pay us money, and then we'll tell you what PS2 games, what PS1, what GameCube, what Nintendo 64 games you'd want to play. Isn't that great? And it's like, it's fucking terrible, because that's not a substitute for backwards compatibility. It truly is not. Because the thing is, it's just like, the games that like Sony can put on their like subscription service or whatever you want to call it, and same thing with like Nintendo, it's just like, okay, but what if I want to play Tony Hawk, like Tony Hawk's Underground 2? And it's like, well, Sony probably can't do that because like it would be too expensive with like licensing fees with the music and shit. They'd probably have to remake that game and put it on a modern system instead of just playing the backwards compatibility. But if you had a console that could read PlayStation 2 discs, I could put my PlayStation 2 disc of Tony Hawk's Underground in my PlayStation 5, 6, whatever, and it should still be able to play. And again, that would be a great way to reward loyalty to your brand and not throwing away your games as soon as you get the new system. But companies don't like that, and companies, especially now, don't want you to have physical games. I actually was talking to someone the other day, and he was saying that it came out that a lot of these companies were saying that, like, oh, people are buying more digital games now than physical. Like, physical's dying out mainly because the consumers don't want it. And it actually turns out that study was, like, altered. And basically the companies want people to believe that people don't want, like, the consumers don't want physical. And in reality, it's about 50-50. People will either buy, like, 50% physical, 50% digital. And the companies want you to transition to digital. They don't want you to have physical media anymore. And again, once that happens, you won't have any ownership of the games you buy. You literally will just be paying a company to rent games, even at $80 a pop. And again, once like the industry goes there, I'll be done. I won't buy any new game systems. I won't buy any new games. I will just be done with gaming at that point and just have like a cutoff line. So anything like past here, I'm not doing, but any other older video game is fair game, and that's just where I'll stay forever. But yeah, anyway, but backwards compatibility I think is very important. I think if companies actually cared about their fan base and actually cared about like loyalty and having the customers come out and buy a system every time they release one, they should have backwards compatibility as number one. And especially Sony, since, again, all your games are disc-based, there's really no reason why I can't put a PS1 game in my PlayStation 5 and it can't read it. It's just stupid. Just focus on making backwards compatibility a thing. But again, the companies just don't see it that way. They'd rather charge you a subscription fee or find some way to pull some more money out of you instead of just doing the bare minimum, and just, you know, rewarding your loyalty and the fact that you've been playing on their systems forever and you've kept the games. They don't give a shit. So, other than that, guys, those are my thoughts on backwards compatibility. I think it's a very important thing. I think companies should focus on it more because it does reward loyalty. Other than that, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Other than that, remember to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Okay, thanks, bye. Later.